So I've built and delivered over $30,000 worth of custom voice solutions for clients and automated at least 50,000 calls so far across many different industries. Today, I'll show you exactly how I set up every client project on ChatGPT or Claude or any large language model that you want to use, essentially. I'll show you some of the call documents or files that I usually upload, like these ones. And some of the project instruction prompts, as well as a bonus, which I'll provide you with, which is a prompt template that I usually use to generate the first draft of how the entire multi-prompt structure could look like for that client, right? I guess the first thing you want to do is ask yourself why we need something like a custom project for each client. And to kind of answer that question very easily is just the idea of providing as much context as possible, right? Context is the most important thing when it comes to getting the best outputs from your large language model. If you don't provide context, it doesn't know, and you have to always constantly explain to, the model what exactly you're trying to achieve, what is the context, what does the client do, what is the use case, what kind of voice agents are you building, and all that kind of stuff. And to prevent that hassle of always having to explain to it every time you have a new chat, you create a custom project for each client so that each client will have their own resources, its own project brief, so that when you have a chat with these models, they know exactly what you are trying to achieve, and so they provide much better outputs. So now that we got the answer out of the way, I want to go through review some of these files that I usually upload, right? But before that, I'm going to show you the SOP first on how I usually do it. You can do it in ChatGPT or Claude or any large language model that you want to use. In this case here, for this video, I'm going to use ChatGPT. What you want to do is under the project section here, click on new project, give it a name. In this case, I'll explain, client 1. And let's provide some of the files here. So these 4 are the main files that I use, right? So we have example conversation flow architecture, the GPT 4.1 prompting guide, GPT-5 prompting guide, retail AI documentation. So we will just add all of these files here. Just drag that in. You can see over here. So that's now uploading. While you're doing that, what you want to do is also add instructions. So on the top here, click on add instructions. Go into my Google Doc, which I'll provide you with in the description. Click on this file here, which says voice agent instruction prompt. You want to just copy the entire thing. Copy this, go back to your instructions and just paste it there. Just to kind of go through this very quickly, this essentially provides context to what this project is about. So we want to, essentially have some sort of automation architect as the prime responsibility of this project. We want to design and deliver retail AI voice agents that has this kind of use cases. We're going to provide context. We're going to show them exactly what files or documents are included inside this project. So we have things like the client project brief. So this will be provided by you. So you will need to create some sort of project brief to explain all of anything about the business, some of the tone of the voices, what are the requirements, any integrations at all, and we'll explain what are each technical documentation is about. So we have a retail documentation, which I'll show you in a bit, a retail conversational flow guide, an example flow architecture, the prompting guides, some of the client resources. This could be any example scripts that your client provided you with, some of the tone that they want to go for, any FAQs, all that kind of stuff. And this is quite important as well, but this is kind of like an ongoing process, which I'll explain in a bit as well. And then we have things like discovery and context alignment. We want to review, before creating any or updating any flows or prompts, always review the project brief, confirm the key details, always clarify with the user, which in this case is you. And then we have like some build framework here. Feel free to go through it very quickly and modify as you like, but this is just kind of the first main prompt structure that you could use to kind of kick things off, right? So that's the first thing. So you go into ChatGPT, it should be saving. Don't know why it's not saving. Just give it a quick refresh. But once that's done, once you have the instructions pasted in already, what you want to do as well is I have a bonus prompt, which I'm going to show you in a bit. But before I show you that, I want to explain these few bits here, right? So as I mentioned, so these two are like the main prompt prompt guides which you're gonna upload, which I also have it included in this Google Docs, so feel free to download it in the description. These are all already formatted in Markdown, so it's the best way for the large language model to understand. So we got the GPT-5, GPT 4.1, and this example conversation flow is the guy explained. Yeah. So this is an example conversation flow architecture design that I created. And the reason why I do this is basically we want to provide the model with an example of a great structure of a multi-prompt agent, right? In this case, how I usually structure my prompts for all of my clients would be something like a main welcoming node, and then every subsequent node connected to it. And the purpose of the main welcoming node is to determine basically the user intent of the call. So I'm gonna give you an example here. Assuming we have a voice agent that's able to handle a few different things, a few different call pathways, right? Number one could be appointment booking. Number two could be transfer calls. Number three could be answering any general FAQs. Or you can look at these examples here, right? So one example is user intent request estimate. One example is user intent cancel, reschedule, complaint, general inquiry, transfer requests, all this kind of stuff. So assuming we have, let's say, 5 to 10 user intentions, what we usually do is have a welcome node, and that welcome node just essentially understands what the intention of the call is and then route it to the correct state, or rather node, which handles that intention. So if someone's calling in asking to request an estimate for a service, it goes down that request estimate node and it has its own prompt in that way, right? And the next thing is if they have like some sort of canceling reschedule node intention, it would go down that path. So we want to try to structure out all of these voice agents in that exact prompt structure, which I usually use, which works really well, by the way. So this is an example that we provide the model with. So it knows that this is the architecture we're trying to go for. So whenever we explain and how we want to draft out that first multi-prompt, it follows this structure. And I also explain everything we need to know about why we use this structure here. So there's a detailed node by node architecture, a start call, a welcoming node. We have examples of transition conditions here. Collect estimate info, handle appointment node, handle complaint node. Just an example, right? Yeah, feel free to go through this, modify it if you want to, but this is usually an example document that I upload to every single project. So that's that. And client resources and client project brief, this is up to you. This is what you will be providing. You'll be creating all of these project brief, explaining everything as detailed as possible. If you want another video of me explaining how I go through and create these project brief, feel free to comment something and let me know. I can feel free to make a video for that. Client resources, this would be anything provided from the client. So if the client has some sort of example scripts that they want you to follow, they have integrations that they need you to integrate it with, they have a certain tone of voice that they're trying to go for, all this information, we want to include that under client resources. And retail voice agent JSON and NADN workflow JSON, ongoing. The reason why I put ongoing is we want to provide the large language model with example of what the current JSON structure of your voice agent looks like. And what I mean by that is under ChatGPT, under files, we want to also include examples, right? So assuming here I have an example voice agent project in my workspace, and let's say this is a voice agent that I'm building out for one of my clients, right? I don't like the way it's structured, but it's just a template that I use. So what I usually do is while I am building out this project for the client, every time there's a new update, I'll click on export the newest version of your voice agent, and you will get this JSON structure, right? And if you open this JSON structure, what you'll see is just basically the entire voice agent in JSON. So it knows exactly everything you need to know about this voice agent, right? So again, it all comes down to the context again. We want to provide as much context as possible to the model so that it knows how to generate the best outputs. So we want to also include those as well. Oh, okay, this is bad. How do I do this? Yeah, so you want to get that JSON, drag and drop that, and always upload it into your project brief as well. So whenever, into your project in ChatGPT. So whenever you want to, have a chat and ask for any best practices or any improvements, it knows to reference this example JSON structure. So it knows exactly how it's currently built and how to improve it and how to modify it and how to, do all that kind of stuff. So that's a very important point as well. Likewise, we also do this for Anyden. If you have example workflows that you're building out for clients, these are custom tools that you're building on Anyden. We also, we also want to provide these Anyden workflows to the project brief itself. So as an example here in Anyden, I have an example flow. So what you usually do is open the workflow. Let's say you have 5 different Anyden workflows. Do it for all 5. Trust me, it's going to make your build a lot better. Click on download at the top right here. Download it. Same thing. Go back to ChatGPT and upload it right here. So now it knows how your voice agent is built and all the tools that's integrated in Anyden. It should also have access to all of those. So that's all the context you want to provide it with. And every time you have a chat with this specific client, you know what it's currently built out, right? Very easy, makes things a lot easier in terms of building it out. And so yeah, that's basically that. And the last thing I want to go through with you is the bonus prompt, which is what I usually use to generate the first draft of how the structure would look like. Let me see, where is that? Yeah, so if you go into multi-prompt voice creation, this bit here, I have it open. So I've generated a very long prompt, which works really well in terms of building out the first structure. So just to briefly go through it, we explain the purpose of it, your voice agent creation assistant. We provide with some context. We have project brief, which is mandatory. So before it generates the structure, it knows exactly everything everything about the project. So it knows the client name, the industry, the website, the project title, background, the use case, all this stuff. Then there's resources. It goes through all of the client resources that's provided. It has technical documentation, which is what we already uploaded for everything else, which is these 4 over here. We explain very briefly what those are. And we have onboarding transcript. This is optional. If you have the transcript of a call that you have with your client, upload those as well, so that at least we have the exact words that the client wants for building out these projects. So that would provide more context as well, but this is optional. If you don't have to. Then there is this kind of some step-by-step process here, right? So it first asks, is it an inbound? Is it an outbound agent? What is the use case? Is it lead qualification? Is it appointment booking? Customer support? What's the business goal, right? And what's the desired outcome? Are we supposed to transfer the call to a live agent? Are we just supposed to collect some data, collect form, qualify? These are questions that it would ask when it's generating this multi-prompt structure. Call pathways. How many main call pathways are there, right? So there could be things like qualification, escalation, disqualification, support request. What are the possible branching scenarios? What are the conditions for transferring the call, escalation, or any fallback at all, right? Next thing you want to know is what are some of the dynamic variables that we would get. So assuming it's like an outbound call when someone fills in a form. When they fill in the form, what kind of information do you get? You get the first name, the last name, the email address, what are the interests and all that kind of stuff. If we have as much detailed data from the client, from the lead itself, we can enrich the information to the voice agent, right? So things like outbound, we have those information. Things like inbound, we have all this kinds of information as well. So it will always clarify it with it. Integration context, do we need to integrate it with any CRMs, any API, any third-party software? I will ask that as well. Tone and personality, what is the persona of the voice? What kind of, is there a brand guideline it's supposed to follow? Is there a defined script? All these kind of things. Compliance and guardrails, depending on where you are, where you're based. Do we need to have some sort of compliance, to kind of know that, the call is recorded, this is AI, this is all that kind of stuff. And then some of the design frameworks. These are just best practices for designing voice agents from, all the voice agents that I've built so far. Things like the building blocks, personality, environment, tone, goal, guardrails, tools, integrations. What are the structure of it? We need them to understand how the nodes work, how transitions work, fallbacks, error nodes, all that kind of stuff. prompt engineering standards, follow the guides based on these ones here, GPT-5 and GPT 4.1 guide. Humanization, generation rules. Feel free to go through this yourself. If you want to add on to this or any edit and modify this yourself, feel free to do so. This is all free for you to take and copy and steal. So do that for yourself. And yeah, this is the most complete prompt that I have been using for all of my clients to build out the first draft of the structure. Obviously use it with a grain of salt, right? It will draft out these prompts, these multi-prompt structure for you, but always look into it, understand it if it makes sense, and then refine it yourself, right? Obviously don't take it as the first draft and use it in production straight away. You want to have some sort of discretion and work your way towards building the best structure for your agent. But yeah, I mean, that's basically it, right? This is essentially the entire structure and the first thing I do as soon as I onboard a client. And this has been working so far. It helps with organization. It's very scalable, and I still recommend every voice agent builder to do this for every client that they close. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment. And if you want more videos like this on how we build out and structure out these voice agents, let me know, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.